Hey YouTube, how's it going? Yeah, this is Ron with Ron's Fuel Stop, and I was thinking about a video I made, the last video I made, which was a kind of dumb title, but it said what truck drivers see and what they think. So basically by that I was saying what we notice and what we think about it and what we have to think while we're going down the road. Of course, that was a very small thing, and I was going to make another video last night, but as I stopped last night, I was doing a post-trip inspection. I was looking at the sidewall to my steer tires. I'm particularly concerned about it because it was hot out and we'd been on some really major construction, rough roads, big potholes. I looked at my steer tire. It was a big cut in the sidewall of it. Took my jackknife out. Thing was 3/4 of an inch deep and about 2.5 inches long, and it's something I don't want to mess with. So I had to buy a steer tire at a Love's, and get it put on at not the place that I normally get everything done in Green Bay. So wasn't happy about that, but at least the truck is safe, I'm safe, and I got a new steer tire after 75,000 miles on the other one, so about half of its life. Anyway, that's what we see, and that's what we think, and we're thinking about those kind of things when we're going down the road. But we see drivers, and I wanted to talk about 3 things in regard to drivers, if I can remember them. One is driving behaviors, and number 2 is particularly with the phone and phone positions, and then thirdly, driving positions. So those are my pet peeves. Anyway, and hopefully you're not a truck driver that does any of these, because you have no business. You don't call yourself a professional driver if you do any of these things. But those of you who are drivers, I don't expect you to be professional because you don't get paid to do it. But this is what we fight with when we're out there because of the way you drive. Here's my major pet peeve. Now, first of all, let me say that almost all the new trucks, and there's laws mandating these things within a few years, but all these new trucks, they have radar on the front. Some cars do too. And it's like lane departure, how far you are, it beeps if you're too close. And in a big truck, it will apply the brakes for me. So it'll beep like crazy at about 1.5 seconds. When you're 1.5 seconds ahead of me, which going through Chicago, I have to fight constantly for someone not to be 1.5 seconds ahead of me. So it will beep. And when you pull around the left side of me, and then you come around in front of me and get within that 1.5 seconds, beep, 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 beep. And then if you get closer than that, my truck goes off a cruise, or it'll go off of, it'll power down. You know, the accelerator will stop working, and it will put the brakes on for me. So you can imagine how annoying that is. And you know, if all cars had that, then we'd all be spaced out a little farther. Traffic would flow better. There'd be so much fewer accidents. And the main reason us truck drivers get so upset with this wingman or on guard is because the way that drivers drive. And if we all spread out a little bit more, it wouldn't be a problem. So that's one of my pet peeves. A car comes over too close. A lot of states have signs and mobile signs that are telling you not to do it. Watch how close you are in front of a truck. Let alone you might get run into, right? Here's the other thing. Now somebody is behind you, and so immediately when they're behind a big truck, you're behind a big truck, you think, oh, I can't be behind a big truck. I got to get around in front of it. So you come around on the left, you get up to the nose, and then you realize there's your exit. Bam. Right across in front of the truck. So sometimes people are doing that 15, 20 feet. I can't even see the car hardly. They're so close. And cut across in front of me and then take that exit on the right. You know, what would it hurt to just wait 5 seconds, 10 seconds longer back behind the truck and then take the exit? And I'll tell you why. Because people aren't paying attention to what's coming up. They don't read their signs. They don't think about anything more than a quarter mile ahead of them. They don't think about what lane they need to be in, because they can dart around and zip and hit the brakes and go fast and change lanes. And Yeah, it's the Indy 500, especially right now because I'm in Indianapolis. So those are my big pet peeves. The other thing is speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. So a lot of these big trucks, like I said, they got radar. You set your cruise, and say I set my cruise, I want to go 67 miles an hour, 65 zone maybe, and somebody comes around in front of me. Then they slow down. Well, what does that do to my cruise? It slows it down. My cruise will slow down as you slow down ahead of me. And then you get to talking faster and you'll speed back up. But usually I've passed you by then, and then you'll realize after I pass you that you were talking and you slowed down, and so now you got to speed back up and you come back around in front of me, and it just goes back and forth. And then that really jams up traffic and makes traffic flow a lot worse. So again, if everybody had cruise, which is a new thing they've invented now. I don't know if you heard about it. They have this new thing, came out in the 70s. It's called cruise. You can set your cruise and you'll go at constant speed. It's really kind of handy to have. I really slide down to sarcasm. I'm sorry. So now let's talk about phones. Of course, I'm using my phone right now to record this, but let's just take this glass case right here. So here's how some people going down the road, they're trying to be inconspicuous. And they're going down the road like this with their phone. Guess what, folks? This is not inconspicuous, okay? That's old school. And here's another way people do their phone. They put their phone up here on the steering wheel. You can see this. And they're driving it back and forth there. And they think, oh, this will be good. No one can really tell, and I can see what I'm doing. Well, they're looking at their phone, and it's going back and forth, and the car is going back and forth, and guess what? Everybody knows you're on your phone. Here's another famous one. Okay? So I got my phone down here. Right? Well, what happens to my head every time I look at it? I'm looking right down at the ground. So no one can see the phone, but everybody knows what you're doing down there on your phone, because why else would be looking at the floor like that and then looking up and then looking at the floor? Not a good plan. Here's another one some people do. They hold it out here. They literally hold it up in front of them so they can see the phone while they're driving. I don't know, I've seen it all. Here's the people's favorite place to put it. I told you in the last video how we can see in the car and we can see what everybody's doing. Here's where people like to put their phone. Ooh, they'd go on a diet there. But they set their phone right there. That way they got it when they need it. We just can't be out of reach of our phones. So anyway, that's my pet peeve about that. Now, let's talk about driving positions. We've all seen where somebody's like driving like this, they got their hand up there and they're in their low riding car, and they're sitting back and they got their hand up. But what about in a big truck? I mean, that makes no sense in a big truck. Go way down low. Here I am right now. My normal driving position. It's my face. It's what I can see. I'm not going to have to leave my curtain closed on that side or all the light comes in. But we can look over there. I think we can see my mirror. And I can see behind me. Okay. Now what does that do when I go all the way down? Now I can't see the ground over there anymore. And I can't see what's in front of me, so that car that cuts in front of me, I can't even see him. So, I don't know, truckers, I just think it's dumb when you do that. But what is the deal with cars and the people who have to have their leg up? So, I got my feet on the floor here, nice and low and in position so I can hit my brakes, but people gotta have their... I don't even have a place where I can do it on my truck. They gotta have their leg up here like this. So they're driving along, and they got their leg way up here like this. How in the world are they in control of their vehicle? I just don't get it. And then the other thing I see all the time in the passenger seat is what's up with the ladies having to stretch their legs up onto the dash. Everybody's got their legs stretched up on the dash. I don't remember seeing that. So anyway, my theory is there's some kind of a music video out there or something where putting your legs up on the dash is like the cool thing to do now. Anyway, I don't get it. All of those things, you know, if driving in a comfortable position means in an upright position with your feet flat on the floor or your feet on ready to use the pedals. If you can't use the pedals, if you're delayed by 1 or 2 or 3 seconds to be able to do the reaction that you need, you're gone. You're gone. Other people are dead. And once you've seen it on the road, you'll never forget it. I still remember my earlier driving career, which was with dump trucks. And one of our dump truck drivers, he had a full load, and you know, he had like 60,000 pounds on, 62, he's probably 64.5 actually. You're going down the road 55 miles an hour on a 2-lane. Some lady pulls out from the side, and the last thing she saw was his front bumper, and the last thing he saw was 10 feet in front of him, her face looking up at him, and she was killed instantly. And that's the kind of stuff that you can't avoid if you're not driving while you're driving. So I just appeal to everybody, when you're in the car, is it too much to ask for you to drive? When you're sitting behind the seat, you got your vehicle, which is one of our freedoms in America, and it's one of our most expensive things, often the most expensive thing we have next to our home. Would it hurt to like drive it? Like to pay attention to what you're doing, and well, just get along and we'll go down the road together. We'll get to where we're going, and life can go on. So anyway, that's my rant. Driving behaviors, phone positions, and postures. Anyway, I'm done now. So we'll all go back to what we were doing. Have a great day. Ron's Fuel Stop.